All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hushlife Podcast. This week, you may notice if you're watching, I have the kill stash on, and I'm sitting across from my boy Eric Chesser, and we are in his shop once again, here to bring you some entertainment, hopefully.
Another podcast. Rolling out another podcast from the South Slopes. When Maddie's got the kill stash, you know it's business. Hunting season is within a week from right now when we're recording this, and it is blowing my mind. Summer is gone. At least not necessarily for the weather, right? But like as our season starts, summer's out the window. The idea of having a little more freedom and time is about to change real quick.
Yeah, it's like yesterday it really hit me when I'm like, holy crap, the season starts in like 6 days. Now it's 5 days. And I'm like, I had so many like little chores or projects I wanted to get done at the house. And I was like, well,
next year,
better luck next year because it is go time. It's, it really makes you feel like the months leading up to the hunt feel like they take forever. And then like June, July is just like
gone.
Like snap of the finger.
Yeah, when July hit, I was like, man, can we get like another June in here? I need more time.
Yeah.
Pretty much for, like Matt said, button up loose ends, getting ready for the hunt, trying to scout, dial in the bow, honeydews, things around the house, etc.
Yeah, man. And it's like, you just can never, this is the first year of my whole life, 25 years old, that I've had like a tag that I'm like over the moon about. It's just like, man, like you just almost, I could totally see how people just like return tags or give back tags because they're just like, oh, just this isn't right or this isn't right. Or like, I just don't feel like I scouted enough or I don't feel like super prepared. And it's just like, I could see how people get, what do they call it? Like perfection paralysis or whatever it is, where they just feel like they almost get paralyzed if everything's not perfect.
Yeah.
I could see that for sure.
And what he's referring to is the idea of like drawing out a good tag you've been waiting for, and as the season gets closer, you turning it back into the state, right? To either regain your points, for whatever reason you choose not to take that tag that year, which is kind of a funny topic because some people will turn it back because maybe they did go scouting and they're not seeing the number one bull they wanted to kill or the antler growth that year, and they'll turn it back. So that was kind of a topic. Certain states have been changing their regulations considering the idea of turning back a tag.
Yeah, because it really affects like point creep and things like of that nature, because people can really just sit at max points year after year after year, and it's like it just is almost raising the max points pool, if that makes sense, because those guys aren't getting out of there. It just is dragging. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of off topic, but let's so Matt's alluded to it. He's got a tag that he's really looking forward to. So we had a harsh winter.
Yes.
And that did a number on our elk and mainly our mule deer in northern Utah, which is where Matt's tag is for. So this wasn't planned. No, we don't have an idea of exactly where this podcast is going. But Matt, if you had to, or if you had the option to move the tag to a different year, would you do it?
Dude, I mean, as of right now, probably. Because I don't want to sound negative or sound ungrateful or anything like that, but I guided on this specific ranch for 4 years. Guided with R&K for 5 seasons. 4 seasons, I spent a lot of time on this specific ranch. And every single summer for 4 years, I spent time scouting up there.
Mm-hmm.
And every single summer, I found a special deer or two, like $1 or $2 over that 190, 195 mark every year. And this year, man, like, I think I'm vlogged only like 4 or 5 scouting trips, but that's pretty good for like glassing mule deer. And I haven't found anything that gets me like remotely excited. And it's, I mean, anything can happen. I could get up there and find the biggest buck of my life the day before the hunt or on day 4 or 5 and be stoked. But between just the winter kill that we had, and I think there's a lot to be said. I've talked to some friends in Wyoming on Unit G and Unit H, kind of their better units, that they have footage of bucks that last year were 200 inches and this year are maybe 170, 175.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got their hopes up when we had, a lot of moisture, aka snowfall and rainfall. Now looking back, it's almost like, well, that might have like actually drug out too long.
Yeah,
right.
The green up was not there when they were starting to grow antlers.
Yep, and they weren't in. A lot of these animals weren't in peak health conditions when the antler growth should start.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, a lot of people are like, oh, we got all this moisture, but it might have been a little too late. The winter drug out way too long.
Yep.
Which is one reason why you haven't been able to scout as much, because some of those north slopes were pounded with snow.
Still snow up there.
Yeah.
There's still basins that have big snow patches.
It's going to be interesting to see what you turn up over even just the first opening week as you really start to dive into the mountain.
Yeah.
Get boots on the ground and start hiking some of those ridges, and getting closer.
Yep.
I'm excited for that. But this ranch that Matt has a mule deer tag for is the R&K Hunting Company.
Yep.
And the R&K consists of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of acres.
When I was guiding there, altogether, it was around 2 million acres.
That's insane.
Leased up for hunting between Utah, Wyoming, and I think New Mexico.
Okay, so that's inclusive.
Yeah, so 2 million acres total. The main ranches I was hunting on probably consisted close to 300,000 acres is where I kind of hung out, and that's in Utah, northern Utah. And man, that place kind of spoiled me. I really feel like I got to experience like 10 lifetimes of hunting experience
in those 5 years.
In those 5 years.
Yeah.
Or even more. Yeah, it's just like people probably think I exaggerate when I talk about these stories or have talked about it in the past, but there were legitimate times in September and October where we were packing an elk a day off the mountain. I mean, the elk population up there is ridiculous. The rut up there is ridiculous. Like, it's hard to even comprehend some of the days I had up there. Just being half decent at calling, knowing how to play the wind, and knowing when to call and when not to call. Just a few little things to be a half decent elk hunter. And you don't have to be a great elk hunter to kill elk on a private ranch. I understand that. But to really kind of just up the encounters you had, there was several times, dude, where I'd have clients like been to 3 or 4 ranches, or outfitters, never seen an elk or never been in a shot opportunity. And day one with them, dude, I've called in 10 or 12 bulls and we're tagged out first morning of day one, and they're like, oh, it's all a blur. I don't even know what just happened. It's like, welcome to the honey hole, dude. These elk bugle their faces off and they're not very pressured. And it's a love-hate thing for me, because I strongly believe, and there's some data that proves this, that as elk population climb, deer population plummet.
Yeah.
And I'm a deer guy and everybody knows that, but I strongly believe that they just compete on winter range or compete on summer range. And it's just, I don't know how I feel about it. Elk are obviously the icon of the West. A bugling bull elk is one of the coolest things you can ever experience in life. But there's just something about a giant mule deer or a big bachelor group of bucks in the summer that's just wow, And I'm seeing less and less of that as the years go on.
Yeah, and like you said, with the elk and all the close encounters you had on the R&K, you got spoiled. But same goes with the quality of the mule deer you've been able to see in a short time frame.
Yeah.
And, northern Utah is not so much recognized for giant deer like it is southern Utah. It's just known, the Ponsagat and the Henrys, even Pine Valley is a general season unit. It's pretty known and talked about, for like giant bucks.
Yeah.
Those who know northern Utah understand that there's some giants up there too, but it's not really like talked about. You know, you don't really, a lot of the stuff, even that you guys harvested up there, kind of stays under the radar to some degree, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think a lot of stuff gets discounted because it's private property or on a ranch or whatever. But I mean, there's some like bona fide studs that get killed up there. I mean, we killed 211 buck, 212 buck, like heavy 208, typical. I mean, like giant mule deer, and it's just
like high country,
like pine trees, aspens,
yeah,
like lakes. Like it is when you close your eyes and imagine. Like this is why this tag is my dream tag. Everybody, like the guys ask me, like, Matt, if you could pick any tag in the whole world, like what would it be? And it's like archery mule deer on R&K. Like I know there's units with way bigger deer, and I know southern Utah and Arizona and Nevada this year, giant deer.
Yeah.
I just on Instagram.
They got the right amount of moisture at the right time.
They did. And it's just different this year up in the high country. I like my buddy Braden, you guys might know Braden, like me and him have hunted a certain unit in Utah for years and years, and we always find good deer. This year he's like found a 2-point. Like it's just different, you know?
Yeah, that winter definitely had a big impact, and it's going to take years to kind of recover and bring it back to like where it was probably.
Yep.
But this, you know, like the word ranch, isn't it so funny? Like I'm public land hunter for the most part. When you hear ranch, it just, like you said, it almost just gives you this like
discount.
But the R&K consists of leased ground from many landowners, and with that, they can create what's called a cooperative wildlife management unit here in Utah. I don't know what they call them in other states. But when you think about like hunting private land, what I think is cool, and Joe Rogan touched on this on a podcast, I believe, at some point, that because there's no pressure or way less pressure, you're kind of hunting these animals in their natural habitat, and like they're really just doing naturally what they would do if it wasn't so much pressure, natural behaviors. So when Matt speaks about like there's a quality or there's like the quantity of elk, and when he's like they're rutting like crazy, that's like what they would be doing if elk were just in a mountain range and nobody was really bothering them or pressuring them enough to where they kind of like have to change their behaviors to avoid hunters.
Yeah.
And do different things. So like the tactics is like some of the stuff I hunt public land probably would be way different than if you just got to hunt them in the peak of the rut, doing what their natural behaviors would be doing, which is just going crazy.
Yeah.
Like
just
very vocal,
fighting over harems,
very active. Yeah.
Cows. Like, dude, this is maybe why I'm not like obsessed with elk. It's just like, dude, they're easy.
Yeah.
Like, and I've hunted elk on public property. I've hunted elk in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Idaho. Like I've seen them. I've hunted them. Like they're awesome. I love elk. Like I'm not discounting elk. Like, but I think I got spoiled. And the owner of R&K, Daniel, when you're talking about natural behavior, this popped into my brain. He talks about the study that the university or BYU did here in Utah. They had, I think, 100 elk collared up in like the Uinta range or that area. And it's crazy because you can see the public and private boundary, and then all the elk have little dots for the elk. Dude, like 98% of the elk are on public land. Then like a week before the hunt, like 70 are on public land. Then a day before the hunt, like 30 are on public land. Then within a day or two of the hunt being opened, it's like 98% of the elk are on private. And you can go look at the study. I dug into it a little bit. It blows my mind that the problem is some of those matriarch cows that are 17, 18 years old, they know the program. They know once they start seeing more trucks or hearing more dudes up in the woods, they're like, oh, we got to go over here. And I've seen it. I've hunted those private ranches where it is a light switch. Like, I'm not even kidding.
They just show up.
Yeah. It is like, oh yeah, there's a few elk in here, heard like a bugle or two, to literally 1 or 2 days later, it being like, holy crap, like there are hundreds of bulls in here screaming their faces off. It's crazy.
I've hunted plenty of spots that are balanced with private and public, and in some ways I'll appreciate the private land to act almost as a sanctuary, you know?
Yep.
Because like you said, these animals are bouncing back and forth, and when I know that there's somewhat of a sanctuary, I'm almost like, okay, if there's enough private land in this area that I enjoy to hunt on the public side that I have access to, I kind of appreciate the private land in some way. Because, right, imagine if it was all public, like it could get...
They'd never get a break.
The damage, yeah, they never get a break, and the damage would... I mean, we wouldn't have the quality there.
Yeah, and I was talking to Daniel. We were feeding the deer this winter and feeding the elk, and man, I've always... Even where I guided on private ranches, I've always had like, man, I wish this was all public. Or I wish like, why is this like an outfitter? Like, why does an outfitter get to hunt this? You know, and I asked Daniel these questions because he's been in the game so long. And he's like, Matt, there's a reason why this stuff's private. And there's a reason why like tags are getting more and more expensive. And there's a reason for all this. He's like, the cost of living and inflation and everything getting more expensive. These landowners are looking at their land. I'm sitting on a gold mine. Like I could sell this 100,000 acres and have generational wealth. But it's like, if the tags don't increase and we don't sell more tags to hunt these animals, to pay those landowners the money they need or want to allow sanctuary for these animals, dude, it's subdivisions tomorrow. It's crazy.
And you could see that as you even drive in between my house and where Matt lives. There's some country up there that, you know, as I was growing up was completely wild. Like sage flats, great for winter range, you know, nice draws that would be huntable.
Yep.
And they're developing the crap out of it.
There's legit a mountain called Deer Mountain. Like that's the name of it. And some of my earliest hunting memories with my dad, he killed a 4x7 buck, just a crazy non-typical deer, killed it up there. It was the coolest thing. There was deer everywhere. And now I haven't seen a deer there in 2 or 3 years. There's hundreds of condos and a big hotel and restaurant. And it's just like, what are we doing? The same people that are the tree huggers or like protect the animals or anti-hunter are the same people that are killing all these animals with their checkbook, developing these.
It's a funny topic, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but like just to share one thing is I feel the same. Like around Salt Lake, they're creating a lot of trails and basically recreation things, which I like that because it gets people outdoors. But when you're like way back in the back country and suddenly you're a hunter and you're arguing with like someone on a pedal bike or pushing a stroller on a paved trail, you're like, it gets ruined almost when you bring attention to it and when you like make parking lots and restrooms and paved trails. But it is. I don't want to go on a rant, but like those people that claim like save nature and keep it natural seem to flock to those places that are more developed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yes,
we won't go too deep on that, but guys, we wanted to talk about the R&K today and explain a little bit about Matt's history there as a guide and share some of his knowledge with you on these ranches because we're actually giving away an elk hunt on the R&K this fall.
Prime time, first week of October. You're going to hear a lot of bugles. You're going to have 100% shot opportunity. I am so confident telling you that because this place is wild. Like you will 100% have an opportunity to kill an elk.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen it in those months. We did a couple giveaways in the past. So for those of you who may not know this, our brand Hush has got a giant website full of apparel, game bags, decals, drinkware,
elk calls, arrow wraps and vanes.
Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff, in my opinion. Really, really cool stuff. And I'm proud of what we've built with the store and the brand, because it's not necessarily items like people need, right? Like, oh, we're dying for a shirt or a hat, but people seem to support us because it's a brand they want to wear, and they're proud to wear it. So I love what we've built with like a lifestyle brand of Hush. We have adopted like the giveaway platform, and that really came out of necessity because so many people would ask like, hey, I want a chance to go on a hunt with you guys, right? So as we started learning about this giveaway platform, we started to include these experience hunts where people could shop the website for a chance to win. For example, for this one, we're calling it the Ultimate R&K Elk Hunt Giveaway. It is active on our website and our mobile app. So now through September 5th, when you shop our website, no matter what product or item it is that you purchase, every dollar you spend is an automatic entry to win the hunt. So for those, someone might come to the website and just need some game bags. They need them anyways.
Yep.
But they're also included and entered in to win this hunt. So we're giving you guys a chance to come hunt with us. Our whole team will be there. Matt and Logan, Casey, B-Mac, and myself. And we're going elk hunting at the R&K the first week of October. Like Matt said, the rut should be going. It should be popping. It should be insane.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I got to really hang out with Casey, B-Mac, and Logan. Like I fanboyed, went to all the Hushlife.
Matt was at every event we did.
Yeah.
We started out with like movie premieres. We did like a little dinner and podcast thing, and Matt was there.
Yeah.
That's how we kind of met you first.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was guiding for R&K at the time, and I was running R&K social platforms and some of their little like marketing type of strategies, and I was like, you guys need to come hunt with us. Like, we need more Instagram followers, and you guys could come get some sick elk content, you know? And they're like, oh, yeah, like, we don't really need to come hunt a private ranch. And then I remember being like, oh, okay, like, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to hang out with you guys type of thing. And then I got a message from Casey, like, dude, like, my son drew a youth elk hunt, and it's up in that neck of the woods. And I'm like, dude, we have a ranch that you could come hunt elk on with that tag. And so anyways, we lined it up, and Casey was able to buy an over-the-counter archery elk tag. They came up one day early, and I was like, well, buy this tag. It's like $50 over the counter, and we can go try and kill a bull tonight, you know? So Casey bought a tag, and we hunted in the morning, and we called in like 2 bulls, super close calls, like got a bunch of bulls screaming like in rifle range, but it was archery. And we finally just decided like, yeah, let's not go bump those elk. Let's save them for the morning for gauge, you know? Anyways, long story short, we hunted for like 2 days, I think. But that first day, I hiked them up this ridge, and we sat on this knob. And I mean, you can just see elk across the whole mountainside. And they were like 500, 600 yards. And we didn't want a long shot for gauge, you know? He was 12 at the time, 13.
This is his first elk hunt.
First elk hunt. So we're like, okay, like, let's just see what those elk do. Let's try and call them in. And we sat in this same spot, dude, on the sagebrush saddle. And the amount of elk we heard bugle and moved around, and we called in like 3 or 4 smaller bulls just stationary, was ridiculous. Like, Gage was talking about it the other day on Instagram, to where when he went back to camp that night and closed his eyes, his ears were just ringing, and it sounded like elk bugling.
Funny.
Because it was just like nonstop. And I remember us like making the decision, like, all these elk were in this quaky bench, and any person would be like, oh, dude, like, just sneak down there and call a little bit and shoot one of them. We're like, oh, we got cameras, and like there's 5 of us, and we don't want a rush shot or like a shot where the elk's walking through the quakies. Like, let's hunt them up here in this sage stuff. So long story short, fast forward the next evening, same kind of thing. We get on the bulls, they're screaming. We get a couple shot opportunities, they're moving. Just everything was kind of felt rushed, and we knew of a couple big bulls and a couple canyons. Last night we ran up this ridge, And it's steep. I mean, it's high country stuff. And I remember Casey just being like, what are we even doing, dude? Like, it's almost dark and like there's elk back there. Like, why are we hiking up to here? And I just knew these quakey patches at the top of this basin that those elk would kind of feed out of. And I was kind of leading the pack, and I came over this ridge, and I could just see this big bull screaming with his cows like 150 yards, 200 yards in front of me. I'm just like, holy crap. So I crouched down and turned back, and I'm like, big bull, like, come here. So they all came up, and we got set up, and there's 2 or 3 bulls, and like Gage's biggest bull, like the biggest bull was Gage's, and it came out and just came broadside, and Gage just heart shot me.
He's put the smack on.
Oh, dude.
I remember when you guys, I think Casey forwarded me the kill shot real quick. That was filmed through a scope, and it's just like, dang, man. He couldn't have made a better shot.
No, and that's what I told Gage. I'm like, dude, that shot was someone, you could not walk up to the elk and like point at a better spot for that bullet to hit. The bull went over the ridge and died in like 30 yards, and it was an epic experience, man. I just remember we're cutting up the bull, and there's bulls bugling and bulls on the skyline, and just literally like paradise.
Yeah.
And this place, guys, like, I don't want to pimp it out or like overpromise or anything, but it's literally a place where, and I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but I probably have guided close to 100 elk hunts, and 100 of those clients shot an elk.
So crazy success on the whole unit. Opportunity, 100% opportunity.
100% opportunity.
So the bulls there, it sounds like there's a lot, like on average, like plenty of nice 6 points.
Yeah, so that's like what we aim for, is like a big 5 or like a nice 6 point. Like, and it's so weird, dude, because for the longest time, I was like, oh, dude, we're just killing too many bulls. Like we're killing younger 6 points, you know? And then we're getting some of these bulls aged at like 7, 8, 9 years old, and they're 290 inches, 300 inches. But it's like I almost think it's like a subspecies of elk.
Really?
And I know that sounds silly, but like living in the steep, crazy terrain, and they're just so vocal and just different than any elk I've ever hunted. I'm like, dude, these things are just wild. And like, I remember the biggest bull we'd killed on the ranch, I think, was like 365 or 370.
That's big.
It's a big bull. And Travis, one of the head guides, I remember I was back in my room asleep. They have these little dorm rooms for the guides, you know? And he was always like super cool, and like he'd kill elk with his clients and just take it down a skinning rack and do it all by himself. And just like, I remember I'm asleep in my room, and you're on that guide grind where you go to bed late, wake up super early, and just every day, you know? And I'm sleeping there, and I hear like, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what the heck? And boom, boom, boom. And I can hear his voice. He's like, Matt. And I'm like, oh crap, something's wrong, or I'm in trouble. Like, what the heck, you know? So I like run and open the door in my underwear. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, you got to come see this. And I've never seen him with like that big of a smile or that excited. He's like an even killed dude. And he's like, you got to come see this thing. And I mean, it's like midnight. So me and my buddies that I guide with, we go stumbling out there, and he's got this bull in the side-by-side, dude. And just like, giant bull, and we're like, what the heck? Where did you find that?
Where did you get that?
You know? And he's like, oh, this basin, and like, he had a client that had never elk hunted ever.
No way.
From like New York, it was first day. They're just chasing all these bugles. There's this bull that sounded like a donkey. They get down in there, and Travis recalls this bull could like hardly walk. He's like, I thought it was the strangest thing. He's like, just all 4 legs were like limping, you know? Killed the bull, and he's like, it didn't have like, its hocks on its hind legs were like just like shot. Like,
really?
Like just like exploded, and looked like they had been calloused up for a while, and just such an old bull, like had like hardly any teeth.
Wild.
And I was just like, what the
That's
heck?
crazy to think that bull may have been in bad health, but was able to still grow antlers that large.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like the Garden of Eden up there, dude. Just like the amount of just wallows and meadows and quakies, and it's just like,
I think like I'm excited to go on this hunt. For whoever wins, guys, is so lucky in my opinion. But I'm excited to go witness some of this for myself, because like I've been in some pretty crazy rut stuff, like more so when I was young and I was just going on these limited entry units just for fun. Never had a tag. I just go call elk for fun. I've been in some pretty cool rut situations, but I don't know if I've ever experienced like the level of rut activity that you have up there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go see that with whoever wins. By the way, whoever wins this tag and this opportunity to hunt is welcome to invite a +1.
Yeah. So let's talk about like what's in the, there's a lot of stuff. We're going to miss some stuff, but
For sure.
you're going to get a Weatherby rifle,
Yep.
Hush edition. You're going to get Vortex optics. That's binos, spotter, rangefinder.
Whole optic package.
Whole optic package. You're going to get first light. You're going to get some Hush gear. What else is there? Is there camp chef stuff, Argali stuff?
Yeah, there's a giant prize package. We got all the details are on our website. And if you're watching this on the YouTube platform, we'll put a link in the description section straight to the landing page of the giveaway with all the details. But it's not only you're getting the hunt, meat processing,
Yeah.
and all the goodies, right? Which is great. And I know a lot of people will be motivated with that stuff. But coming from the two people that we've taken on these hunt giveaways, so we have Caleb, who won the mule deer hunt on R&K.
Yep.
He shot his biggest buck to date on the R&K. He brought his dad.
His dad. Yep.
And then Adam, who's from New York, he won the elk hunt giveaway that we hosted in New Mexico.
And he brought his dad.
And they got to just hang out. Like, I'm just speaking for them for just a quick second. The feedback we got from them, and I got this directly from them, is they enjoyed seeing the back end or the behind the scenes of like what it really takes to create a hunting film with Hush, right?
Yep.
You got Matt and Logan on the cameras, all of us working together to spot animals and hunt. But they both gave me feedback that they just loved hanging out with us and kind of seeing the behind the scenes of Hush and what it takes to make a video. So that's included. Whoever wins this hunt, we're going to camp together. We're going to sit at the campfire and enjoy some great wild game meals on the mountain together and work as a team to just create the best experience we can for whoever wins and give you an opportunity to hunt out.
And I'd say that's the best part about this giveaway, being on R&K. Anybody of any physical condition or age will have an experience of a lifetime. I've personally guided people that have been paralyzed, people that are old, like 80 plus, people that are super overweight, and we've all killed elk. We've all got bugles. We've all called elk in. I think that's the most unique part about R&K.
Being able to customize the experience for whoever's, whatever it takes for that person.
If you want to sit a blind,
we got that.
If you want to glass and go beast mode and hike into stuff that hasn't been hunted all year, we got that.
Yeah.
If you want to just hear as many bugles and call in as many elk as you want, we got that. Like, it's the coolest. I loved it because I was always kind of the guide that would take like some of the hardcore hunters that came in and just wanted to go nuts. And we would go nuts, dude. We would hike into stuff that nobody's even been in all year. I mean, we'd killed stuff people never even knew about. And it's just like, it's the coolest atmosphere because unlike other outfitters or other guiding companies, R&K is like truly like a teamwork. Like I'd kill out with a client and I'd go help the next guy.
Yeah.
And I'd go help the next guy. And every client in the camp would leave with an animal or with a shot opportunity or like shot an animal, So it's like, I've been in camps before where it's like, oh dude, like I'm not telling Joey over there where that big bull is. Like I have a client coming in next week, And it's just like, it's more of a feast mentality there. It's not like a famine mentality, and everybody's super legit. The team of guides there has been there. For a while.
They run a smooth operation. Once you see it, and because like I said, I joined on the deer hunt last year. Once you see it in progress, you're like, yeah, there's no wonder why this is just a great business platform and why clients return so much.
Yeah, it's like an 85% return, right? And that's crazy because a lot of people like save up. It's like their once in a lifetime tag, you know, like 85% is pretty crazy. So like the way this hunt's going to go down, like I'm foreseeing it, you know, like we'll pick you up at the airport. We'll drive you up there, you know, we'll get your rifle shot in, you know, dialed at the range there. They have a nice range that goes all the way up to 700 yards. We'll get some confidence. We'll shoot. We'll hang out, you know, we'll go kill an elk. Have the time of our lives. We'll take it back. They have an awesome meat processing area. We'll hang the meat up, throw it in the cooler, you know. They've got killer taxidermists in the area.
Yeah.
Killer meat processor. I mean, dude, it's literally a well-oiled machine. And it's like, it just takes all the stress about logistics or like moving parts. Like you literally show up with your tag and your attitude and you're going to have the time of your life.
Got to have that PMA, positive mental hunting attitude, or PHA. Yeah. So guys, we want to invite all of you to enter. We've done giveaways in the past. As soon as it closed, we announced, hey, it closed. I'd get DMs like, dude, I didn't realize that you guys were having a giveaway. So we're trying to bring awareness on every platform that we have so everyone has the opportunity.
This one's short.
It is very, very short. It's only a 3-week-ish window to enter.
Yep.
So we want to invite all of you guys to come check it out. If you haven't shopped our store, we'd like to invite you to just take a look, see if you like any of our styles, any of our apparel. Most of our designs are inspired by something that we've hunted ourselves. A lot of archery designs, elk designs, antler stuff. I think people will really, really enjoy. So go check that out at gethushin.com. We have a mobile app, and the mobile app is completely free. This is not like a subscription based. And we built the mobile app just so people would have a smoother shopping experience specifically for our brand.
Yeah.
So if you go to wherever that you download your apps, depending on what phone you have, search Get Hushin. It's a free app. Check it out. We also have some exclusive content on there. We're calling it the 101. And the 101 is just a series of videos that are a little more detailed for educational and information type of videos. Those are on the app under the 101 tab. You guys can check that out. But this, you know, if you didn't draw an elk tag, hey, you still got a chance with Hush.
I mean, this is pretty good odds too. Like compared to some tags out west, like pretty good odds and high success rate. Eric, you got an elk tag.
So this year I've got 5 elk tags. My first one starts in Utah. It's what's considered like general season archery, any bull elk. I've been lucky enough to kill one bull. The saddle bull was with a bow, and then a couple others with a rifle during that general season. So I'm focusing on archery elk in Utah. It starts this Saturday.
What's your mindset going in? Like, are you coming in like high expectations, low expectations?
I just don't. Like, I don't do high expectations at all anymore. All I know is that I'm going to put my best effort into it. I'm going to do my best to stay positive. I'm going to do my best to like learn this area that I'm going, which is new for me. So I should have done a lot of scouting. Here we are talking about all the hunts coming up, and it's like 5 days before it starts, and I haven't even figured it out. But it's a month-long hunt. So with that, I have confidence that I can get into this unit and figure it out.
Yep.
We touched on this on our 5 for 5 podcast, but this hunt starts August 19th and ends September 20th. So, you know, that time frame is crazy for bulls. Yeah. Like some of them are still going to be in velvet, and then by the 20th they're going to be in full rut. So everything that happens in between is a lot of moving. A lot of the bulls move, their habits change, their behaviors change. So I'll have to adapt with that through the season, depending on how long it takes for me to shoot one, because I will shoot one.
Yeah. And that's, you will shoot one.
I'm going to shoot an elk this year in Utah with my bow. I'm so excited. I focused all my archery season last year in Colorado. And for those who watch that video, it's called Redemption. Like probably the most physically demanding hunt, like we talked about, where you're just sleeping off your backpack and hunting off the backpack. And I got it done, and it was almost kind of like this weight off my shoulder, like, archery Colorado in the books. What's next? All right, go back to Utah and focus on that.
Yeah, man. I'm super stoked to see what you can get done. Hopefully I can tag out on a deer and cruise out there and help you. But it's interesting because I've already seen people posting phone scope or Digiscope footage of bulls stripping velvet.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's like, whoa, that's
early,
man. Like normally you get a few days where you can hunt them in the velvet, sit water in there, just like it super habitual.
You still have a chance to shoot a full velvet bull most years on the Utah archery hunt.
Yep. Well, a lot of times it was like August 15th.
It
like
was. This is a little up, which those who love the rut are like looking at this year's calendar, like, sweet, it's up until the 20th of September, which is awesome. So it's going to be interesting that these bulls are going to be stripping velvet at first. While I'm doing that, Matt is going to be hunting with his bow at the R&K for mule deer.
Yep.
What's your idea of how that rolls out for the first couple weeks?
Dude, honestly, like up until this last month, like in my brain, I had a couple bucks I saw last year that I'm like, okay, so there's this buck baby giant, and there's this buck big ugly, you know, like they'll probably be like 210, 220 this year. Like they were in this basin. I'll just watch them for 3 or 4 days till they bed in the perfect spot, like high probability stock, sneak down there, crank him at 50 yards and just be the most stoked dude on earth, you know? And I've just been getting work scouting and just like, that's one thing with some private property. And I know it's an issue in some areas on public as well. Like there's some livestock in the area. That
can change everything.
In the form of sheep. And if anybody knows sheep and deer, it's basically just like fire and ice. They just don't go together. And it's a little tough getting past that mental barrier because guiding, I would just notice just the hunt quality kind of take a dive once those sheep came in. But you just had to find the areas where the deer had moved to, and hopefully it was still on property you could hunt, and hopefully you had enough time to kind of like
figure it
out, you know? So it'll be interesting, man. My expectations have definitely shifted a little bit from the deer size I've seen. I've seen a lot of deer, which is blowing my mind because I'm like, I feel like I was going to see less deer, but bigger bucks. But it's kind of the exact opposite. There's more deer, and it looks like they're all 2 to 3 year old bucks. Like the other day I went scouting and I probably saw 40 bucks, and I'm just like, this is awesome, you know?
But none of them really got you excited.
No, none of them were over like 130 inches, 140 inches, which is crazy for this area because it's like normally they're all 140, 150, you know, and then a couple Boone and Crockett bucks. So it's just like, not that size is everything, like, but I definitely want to kill a mature deer, and I want to be there with Logan and my brother, and I want it to be the most epic mule deer hunt footage of all time. I want just like the sickest stock. Like I want to earn it. I want to sit up there in the sun for 4 hours, getting fried, sitting on a buck, waiting for him to stand, and just have to have ice in my veins when the time comes to have a clean shot. And just like, I want all that, and I want to just weather the storm. I want to just work for it. So I'm still super optimistic. I've hunted that area enough to know that there's big deer. You're not seeing them, but they're there. And it may take you a week to find it, but that big deer's still in the area, and they don't go anywhere.
That's kind of my mindset going into this one. Not so much on the big, but just I haven't seen an elk up there yet. I know they're there.
Yep.
It might take me a little while to kind of figure it out and then, you know, adapt with it. But guys, it's an exciting season because, as usual, the 5 of us here at Hush are kind of scattered out throughout the season, depending on who's hunting where and who's filming where. Casey's already in Alaska. He's out there with his son, Gage, and then Trent from Born and Raised and his daughter. And they're out there hunting caribou.
Yep.
So excited to see what they can do. I think the caribou hunt, a lot of that has to do with like the migration and where the big herds are and where you are in conjunction with that. So Casey landed yesterday, and I think they're heading out shortly to get out there on their caribou hunt. So caribou hunts, high country mule deer hunts with a bow, early season and rut elk hunts with a bow, all the way to the late season rifle hunts. Guys, we have everything mapped out this fall to produce some killer videos, especially with the help of Matt and Logan behind the editing bay. So we're so excited to share this fall with you. But again, we want to invite you guys a chance to come hunt with us at the R&K Hunting Company. Every dollar spent on our website or app is an automatic entry, and it ends September 5th.
Yep.
So go check it out. Any information that we've talked about in this video, at least on the YouTube platform, all the links are in the description box. We hope you guys are excited and ready for fall hunts, just like we are. Hopefully you guys have some good tags in your pocket. If not, come get entered to win this elk hunt with us. And I wish you guys the best of luck. And I'm excited to hear about the stories and see the photos that, our viewers and fans share with us. So DM us, tag us, no matter what happens. And we'd love to see how your hunt goes. So thanks for listening this long. If you guys made it to the very end, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube platform, and then make sure you download all the audio versions on whatever app you listen to the audio podcast.
Heck yeah, guys. I appreciate you listening. And yeah, like Eric said, make sure you're following. Follow us on social platforms. Like here in 2 weeks, we're going to have a little hunt update. So I really think this conversation is going to be different. We might have to sit down again in 2 weeks and recap this back. Yeah, do a
what
recap.
We thought versus reality type of thing.
Yeah, because I'm super anxious. Like it could be the craziest week of hunting of our lives. So you never know, guys, but you won't find out unless you get out there and put in the work, put in the time. And yeah, with patience and persistence, you can piss a hole through a rock. I guess that's the saying. So I wish everybody luck on the Utah opener, and we will see you guys next time.
See you later, guys.